Good evening, Facebook Live. Apostle Terrence Lyons of Ecclesia Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Coming to you tonight, bringing you tonight's Bible study. Pray that everybody's had a good week. Pray that you're ready to rock and roll, because we definitely going to do some of that tonight. Still dealing with transformation. Still digging deep into that. I'm gonna uncover some stuff for you tonight, and think you're gonna have you ready for getting beyond what's done tried to come at you this week. You know, there's been some trying times in different situations, but that's all a part of it. Good evening there, Prophetess Tanisha. It's all a part of it. Getting your mind right, knowing that in this world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So you're in good shape. It's all part of a process. Good evening there, Overseer Melissa. Good evening there, sis. Happy belated birthday to you again. Pray that it was a blessed one for you. But we definitely getting ready to dig in tonight. Good evening there, Mr. Clarence and Miss Linda. I hope everybody sees the question tonight. Are you redeemed or not? Are you redeemed or not? So we're gonna dig right on in, because again, it's one of the things you've got to understand about your transformation is this is not about a going back and forth thing here. This is you need to know that you've been transformed. The frog can't go back to the tadpole. The butterfly can't go back to the caterpillar. Are you redeemed or not? So something you've got to get in your brain to not be off track there. Good evening there, Prophetess Monica. So you got to know how to stay on track no matter what's going on. And so tonight we're going to start out in Psalm 107, verses 1 through 3. Psalm 107, verses 1 through 3, and begin to stir this thing up. Psalm 107, verse 1 through 3 says, "O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he hath redeemed from the hand of the enemy, and gathered them out of the lands, from the east and from the west, from the north and from the south." All right. Verse 2, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. So what we've got to understand about this is when you know that you're redeemed, when you have embraced the fact that you're redeemed, when you've locked in on the fact that you're redeemed, it's saying, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. And then understand this, whom he hath redeemed from the hand of the enemy. So no matter what you've had pressing against you, bothering you, coming at you, talking crazy to you, all of that, no matter what's been coming at you, just know you're still redeemed. And that's what I know is a fight in the mind of a lot of people, is you feel like, well, if I'm redeemed, if God's really here, if God's on my side, why am I having all this stuff? Well, again, that's why I wanted you to look at John 16 and 33 this week. And that's what it says, in this world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. You're still redeemed, okay? And this is what you got to understand. First point that I want you to get tonight is that until you understand that your transformation, watch this, is directly related to your redemption, you won't get the fullness of it. Until you understand that your transformation is directly related to your redemption, you won't get the fullness of it. So what am I meaning by that? If you don't understand that your transformation and the things that you're changing into and the adjustments of your thinking and the adjustments of how you handle things, if you don't understand that is related to your redemption, your salvation, if you don't understand that, then you're not going to get the fullness of it. So you're trying to change for something, but you're changing for not the right reason. Because if you don't understand that it's a part of your redemption and it's a part of your salvation, then you're not going to understand why it's so important. Henceforth, it's going to hinder you from getting to the fullness of your transformation. So I want you to understand this. I want you to bring this in. So in verse 3, when it says, gather them out of the lands, from the east, from the west, from the north, and from the south. Now understand this, because this is vital. East means sunrise. West means shading, because of course that's where the sun sets. North means hidden or dark or gloomy and unknown. And then south means the roar of a large body of water. East means sunrise. West means shading. North means hidden or dark, gloomy or unknown. South means roar of a large body of water. Now here, why is this so important? Why am I explaining to you what these are? Because he says he gathered them out of all of those places. So if you've been feeling like you're on top of the world, he can redeem you from there. Because sometimes when you're feeling like you're on top of the world and the sunrise is rising on you, it's still not as fulfilling as it could be. So you go through a deal of, I should be happy, but I ain't. He can redeem you from that. If you're going through somebody throwing shade at you, if you're going through it being shady or it not being clear, or feel like the sun's going down on you, or things are changing on you and you weren't really expecting them to change, he can redeem you from there. If you're in the hidden, if you're in the darkness, if you're gloomy, if you're in a place of unknown, he can redeem you from that. If you're in a place to where you got a lot of noise going on and you just unsure about how this is going to turn out, he can redeem you from that. So no matter where you're at, no matter what the conditions are that you're in, he can redeem you from there. Now, how does he redeem you from there? He transforms you while you're in it. He transforms you while you're in it. And he begins to do a work in you while you're in it, so that when you come out of it, you are no longer, watch this, conditioned to the conditions. See, some of y'all have got so conditioned to the conditions that you don't remember that you're redeemed. And then when you don't remember that you're redeemed, then who you've been transformed into being for that specific moment, you don't even know how to function as that place. So here's what I want you to understand. Watch this, because this is vital. Again, until you understand that your transformation is directly related to your redemption, you won't get the fullness of it. See, that's why some of y'all are your tadpoles trying to become butterflies, and your caterpillars trying to become frogs. You've got to understand who you actually are so that you will not fall into the trap. Watch this, of trying to become something that you are not designed to become because of the conditions that you're in. See, some of y'all are shook by your conditions right now, and that's messing you up in your transformation. I love you, but you're shook by the conditions, and that's hindering you in your transformation. So I need for y'all to type in, don't be shook by your conditions. Don't be shook by your conditions. You're still redeemed. The fact that you're redeemed, no matter what the conditions are, should give you a vote of confidence for you to be able to walk forward in what you're designed to transform into. This is why this is crucial, because it's leading me into my second point. To go to my second point, I want you to look at, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 12 through 18 first. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 12 through 18, because I want you to understand this. You don't be shook by your conditions. This is vital. Because, watch this, in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 12 through 18, it says this. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 12 through 18, says this. Watch this. Woo! Because what's about to happen is y'all are about to have to use some plainness of speech to deal with things. See, you've been not really wanting to have certain conversations with certain people. And all right, I wasn't even gonna mention this, but we gotta do this. All right, so coming into this Sunday is going to be starting the sixth month. It's the month of Elul. Elul is technically a house cleaning month. You're going to have to address some stuff that you didn't per se want to have to address, but you gotta deal with this in such a way that as you go through this month change, it's getting you ready for your peace. See, I didn't want to go here. It's getting you ready for your peace in fullness. So in order to get you into the fullness of your peace, there are some things that you're gonna have to clean house on. It might just be conversations. It might be some folk got to go. It might be job got to go. It might be business got to go. It might be whatever. But you're gonna have to do some house cleaning. So in order to do that house cleaning, you got to understand some stuff about your transformation. You got to understand some stuff about what you've been redeemed from, because you're still redeemed even though you got to do some house cleaning. You still redeemed. You didn't lose your redemption. Those situations adjusting and shifting didn't take you away from who you are or anything like that. But you still got to do the house cleaning. You still got to do some cleaning some stuff up. Why? Because as we I don't know if y'all heard that or not, but the train just let out a blaring blow of the horn. But watch this. The house cleaning is a part of you actually transforming. It's part of your transformation. The conversations, it's part of your transformation. The situations, it's part of your transformation. The tribulation, it's part of your transformation. So watch this, because this is what I need you to get. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 12 through 18 says this. It says, seeing then that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech. In other words, get your clarity. So somebody type that in. Get your clarity. Get your clarity. That's what's going to have to happen. And you're going to have to express your clarity. All of this is a part of this time frame. So watch this. So seeing then we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech, and not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not, watch this, steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. That's very important. Steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. Why? Because, watch this, the butterfly is not still wavering back and forth between whether or not it should be a caterpillar or a butterfly. The frog is not wavering back and forth between whether or not it should be a frog or go back to being a tadpole. Whether they wavered between that or not, they can't. Okay? That's the first thing. But second thing, why even use mentality to think back to something that you can't go back to anyway? Ooh, that is loaded right there, but I didn't come to fool with that tonight. But watch what goes on right here in verse 14. It says, but their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Christ. All right, now I know y'all remember, we've just recently looked at this, but I got to show you something different before I give you this second point. So it goes on and says, but even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Verse 18. But we all, now all means all, we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. Now watch this, because this is what I need you to get. This is my second point. Your infancy of your transformation is just as important as the maturity of your transformation. Your infancy of your transformation is just as important as your maturity of your transformation. And I'm going to dig a little bit deeper in this. I'm going to show you this, but I want you to go to another scripture. I want you to go to 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 10 through 16. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 10 through 16. Because I want to show you this in a little more in depth. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 10 through 16 says this. It says, for therefore we both labor and suffer reproach because we trust in the living God. Woo! My. I got on this shirt today, and those of ecclesia, you realize and you know which shirt it is, because this shirt says on the front, God lives, and on the back it says, so do we. Here's what I need you to get. In verse 10, watch this. In verse 10, it says, for therefore we both labor and suffer reproach. Okay? Any of y'all suffer any reproach this week? Have somebody trying to come at you a little sideways, trying to talk about how you do what you do, or whatever. Anybody have any of that come at you this week? Well, we both labor and suffer reproach because we trust in the living God. Okay? So watch this. Who is the Savior of all men, especially of those that believe. So again, remember, your transformation is about your redemption. It is directly related to your redemption. So the reproach, the having to labor to get people to understand where you're at, and I know how frustrating that can be. I trust you. Trust me. I know how frustrating that can be to you. But you've got to understand that's part of a process of your transformation. Your transformation, just to give you an idea of because when I start reading through this, I'm not going to be able to slow down once I get going. So that's why I'm trying to get these parts explained as I go. So the metamorphosis, the transformation of a caterpillar or of a tadpole, all of that, it starts out in egg form, then it goes to what they call larvae form, and that's where the caterpillar or the tadpole comes into play, and then it goes into the pupa or the cocoon stage. That's like stage 3, and then stage 4 is the butterfly comes out, or the frog develops, grows its legs, does all of that thing. So in other words, it goes through all those stages, but your infancy stage, that egg stage, is just as important as the frog or the butterfly stage. Why? Because if that stage is not handled properly, then the butterfly or the frog is going to be in jeopardy of life in its maturity. So the infancy is just as important. Why am I focused on that? Because of this right here. Goes on and says, these things, verse 11, these things command and teach. Verse 12, let no man despise thy youth. Now, Paul is writing this to Timothy, and this is something that I used to have to deal with. I don't deal with it no more. I ain't fighting with you. I ain't, because old people that are older than me, initially, they were like, well, you too young to tell me, you too young to have this information, you too young. And I knew where I was at. I knew I was right. I knew God had my back. I knew all of that. But they were looking at me being young. They were looking at my age. They were saying, you can't tell me nothing. I done lived more years. I done more things. You might have, but I know what he's shown me. I know what I've experienced, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that this right here is what he's given me. So you can take it or leave it. Initially, I used to try to help people and persuade them and beg them to take it. I ain't begging no more. I'm not forcing. I'm not trying to force no more. Okay. He tells me to lay it out. I lay it out. It's up to you whether you take it. You can go bust your head. You can go fall on your face. You can go do whatever you want to. What you won't be able to say is, well, no one ever told me. Yes, I told you. I just wouldn't. Well, you didn't express the importance of it. You didn't make it a big deal. Well, I got to make it a big deal for you to take it. So I'm not going to make it a big deal. I'm going to lay it out there. I'm going to make it known. I'm going to make it plain. Use plainness of speech. And then I'm going to leave it be. And you get what you get. Period. Why do I need you to get that? Because he says right there, Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, watch this, in conversation, in charity or in love, in spirit, in faith, in purity. Till I come, give attendance to reading, exhortation, to doctrine. Watch this. Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery. Meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly, WHOLLY, meaning completely. Give thyself completely to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. Take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine, continue in them. For in doing this, thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand, and I want you to be aware of why you've got to understand that your infancy of your transformation is just as important as the maturity of your transformation, because you're allowing them to see the movie of your life. That's what's going on. They're being allowed to see you transform. And there are some people on here that's been allowed to see me transform from the hotel to where we're at now to where we're going. There have been people that have been able to see the entire process. And that is why I am so thankful for those that have stuck with me throughout the entire process, because them being able to see everything, being able to see the whole 9 yards of the ups, the downs, the all of the different things. There were many times that they could have said, you know what, man, we leaving. But they didn't. They stuck. They're still here. And I'm extremely thankful, because one of the things that will never be able to be said about me is that I'm not transparent. Because I will put everything out on the table and say, hey, this is what went on. This is what happened. Here you go. That's me. Why? Because that makes it simple. That helps you to understand. It helps you to figure out who's going to be with you no matter what, and who's going to leave when things look shaky. Because no matter what goes on with me, I'm good even when it don't look good. That's not bragging. That's not me not paying attention to the circumstances. That's me believing in who transformed me. I'm good even when it ain't good. Why? Because what